Hello and welcome back to Systems of Existence. Today with another amazing guest, and I felt really called to share this episode right now in this moment of time because there's so much craziness happening. Uranus stations as I'm recording this intro, but we've recorded the episode a while back, and it's all about light. It's all about light, and it hopefully reminds you of your own light in these wild and turbulent times, I want to say. And I also wanted to share it now because one of my biggest takeaways from it was really this understanding and approach for every single day that what's in front of you, what's coming into your field, so to speak, is the most important thing to take care of. So what catches your eye, as we talked about in the episode, what catches your eye is the most important thing to focus on. And if there's nothing specific that catches your eye, it might not be important for you that day. Or if something that you think, should catch your eye is not catching your eye, then it might not be important for you. So it's this trust that whatever is coming into your field is the most important thing you have to focus on. And then also taking your power over what you choose to look at, right? That's also a really important factor here. So what do you choose to focus on? What keeps your attention, or what gets your attention, right? What gets your eye? What catches your eye? I want to say, tongue twister right here. So I wanted to say that, and also fill you in on the energies that are really present right now. I shared a few of the things on my Instagram already, Magic Kathy Official. It's been really plugging me back into deep research with human design, which I'm really passionate about, all around specific patterns around anorexia and eating disorders. And I'm doing a research on that because I do feel that there are deeper DNA imprints that we can maybe uncover that are common threads in people that develop this specific illness that is a big part of my story, unfortunately. But I know that it always was meant to bring me into something or teach me something that I might need as a left hand cross and a 6 line to uncover something. I always had this feeling, but I never really knew what it could be. And now I've been connected with so many amazing people, and one of them being Julia, which I did an episode on her podcast, and we realized that all of her clients had a common thread in their human design charts. And so it was really eye-opening to see that, and made me feel like there might be other things that we can uncover and then potentially help with the road to recovery, but also maybe other illnesses, maybe other DNA imprints that are common threads. So definitely excited about all of these research opportunities that are coming up, which has so much to do with, the DNA and Uranus in Taurus as well. And more of that will come to the forefront. And I do feel that this is also a big reason why I've been always, so drawn to all of these modalities and tools. It's definitely teaching me something. And I can see other illnesses in the chart actually. But specifically with eating disorders, it's not really been too easy, but I do feel, because I'm biased, obviously. It's like when you look at your own chart, you don't see as clearly. Another thing that is really coming up is my work and understanding around trauma and color, which is also connected to the episode today, because we talk about light and color and how trauma really colors our perception about specific things that happened in our life, ourselves, ourCELLS, all of these kinds of things. So very, very exciting times where we open up to a more multi-dimensional understanding of how this realm, I want to say, is really shaped and formed, and that it's really happening on a different level than we think. Like, we think we have to actively do things in order to make things happen or build things or all of these things, but we are really just receiving the energetic patterning and coding that is happening on a higher level, I want to say, on a more subatomical level, molecular level, however you want to say that. And here in this reality, we're just perceiving what is happening in higher realms, and we will open up more to that. But that also means that we have to be really aware of, or become more aware of, what can actually be programmed into us in higher realms, or what we can code into ourselves in higher realms. Which also brings me back to the dream work that I've been doing, where you really code reality in your dreams. I've said that before, where every single morning you wake up, and depending on how you've digested or programmed your own reality for the next day, that's going to be the day you experience. And your dreams might give you a emphasis on that, or like a precursor on that, but you can also actively become the architect of that. It's also why healing mantras before bed can actually help you shift into the reality where you wake up in a healthy and healed body, let's just say. So there are definitely a lot of things that also new science and medicine and all of these things, I spoke about it before, when we talk about the nodes being now in Virgo, or in Pisces in Virgo, and Neptune is ruling. So the whole understanding and perception and use also of the dream time will definitely shift and change, and I'm definitely excited about that. It's also where we talk about hypnosis, subconscious programming, and all of these things. What is that really, and how can we take power back over that, instead of letting it be, something that we feel like we are in the mercy of it, or however you want to say that. So let me know. I would love to know how you are experiencing the current shifts and what's happening. And if you would like to share something, Magic Kathy Official on Instagram, or just send me an email, info@abracadabrababy.de. As I always say, the most important thing is energetic hygiene, and to be really aware of where's my own energy field and where's not my own energy field, which is why I always come back to do your homework, know your human design. It's the most important tool that you can do for energetic hygiene, as I say, because it really helps you understand where you absorb the energy from the outside world. You feel it's stronger, right? You might feel like it's your own. You have to really cleanse, let's just say, or bring yourself back to your own energy then. Where is your own energy? Where is it centered? How can you strengthen that own energy in your field? What can you do for that? Me, self-projected projector, okay, I have to start recording podcasts again, speak again, put myself out there again, right? Instead of being in this bubbly hermit mode all the time, right? Where everything can, in a way, knock me off center. And whenever I speak it out, I speak my cells clean, right? But obviously it depends on your design and how you are designed. And if you would like to have some guidance or clearing around that, where you can find me, Magic Kathy Official, for a human design reading. This is your brightest light, and I combine it with astrology, with human design, with the gene keys as well. So we can look into deeper layers of your human design, which means that we also know how you can approach the gates in your chart. Obviously also how you approach your astrology chart and the current activations in your astrology chart, and really get you into the brightest power that you can be, because that's really what we have to focus on for this year specifically, right? So you don't get knocked off center with everything that is happening. And I also pray that the episode here is really preparing you for that. It's a huge year, but that shouldn't scare you, because if you know your power, if you know your energy and how to reset it, then what can get into your way? Nothing, right? And that's really also what the shift into 2027 is all about, to be in the flow and alignment of our own energy field, and to learn how to not get swept away and center and basically knocked off. So to stay centered, that's what I meant. And to be in your brightest light, to not be colored, to not be coded, to not be programmed, to not get swept away with everything that is happening just because you see it. Again, where is your point of power? It's in your perception, it's in the now, and it's where you choose your focus on, right? Because that becomes your reality. And so enjoy this episode. Please let us know how how it resonated with you and how it shifted your approach to life and the way you see life, because it hopefully makes you feel and see life in a brighter way. I am very delighted and honored to have Mr. Jacob Liberman on Systems of Existence today to talk about I want to say not my second, but one of my favorite topics next to sound and frequency. It's always light. The sun and music together are probably the perfect combo for myself. And I always make sure that I start my day with the sunlight before coffee. That's my habit. And Jacob is the expert in all things light. And I would love today for us to talk about the eyes, the retina, and you know how light can also be our nutrition, and how light is also the medicine of the future next to sound. And yeah, Jacob has amazing books out, Light Nutrition, or more so Luminous Light, and Light as the Medicine of the Future as well. So Jacob, let us know what led you to talk about light and be an advocate for light as the #1 source for our well-being.
Wow, that's a big question.
I know. It's like you can probably already write an essay.
I think
an hour about it.
I think it all begins with the words, "Let there be light."
Mm.
And then it seems like, at least according to the biblical perspective, that's the beginning. And I imagine when physicists who don't speak about let there be light, but speak about a big bang, when I imagine a big bang, I also see light and sound. So perhaps the Big Bang is the physicist's terminology for a beginning of something, even though I don't know what a beginning is, because something always exists before something begins. But I've been intrigued with light since I was in my medical training. And during the part where I was working with patients while I was still in my medical training, I had heard about utilizing different colors of light for different issues going on with the eyes. And I used it and I had good success with it. And I utilized it with my mother in the mid-1970s, who had lost the vision in an eye, and helped her to recover a significant portion of her sight. So intrigue, and most importantly, success, kept re-inviting me to look deeper into all of this. But rather than speaking about what occurred 50 years ago, let's come right now to 2024, almost 25.
The time this is up, it's probably going to be 2025. Yes, a new decade.
Yeah, and let's talk about, you had mentioned light, and you had mentioned the eye. Let's see what comes forth about the light and the I that is and would be of importance to
You know
all
what
living things.
what I think about, and what's also really timely or connected to even the astrological cycles that are going on right now, there's a huge connection. I mean, I'm in Dubai. There is a connection to, I don't know if you can see it, the Eye of Ra.
Yeah.
So the I mean, Ra for me is the sun, right? The eye of the sun, so to speak. And the Egyptians already spoke about the Eye of Ra. So how do you see that connection between, again, the sunlight and the eye, and how it applies to also what's going on in this day and age? As you said, new decade 2025 and our current
So,
time.
so, all of us have been trained and conditioned to believe that we have a mechanism that we call the mind, which is our portal toward finding truth.
Mm.
But when we speak of mind, we speak of thought. And the expression that comes up is, I think. But the words I think mean, I don't know.
Mm.
So what we call mind, that we've been led to believe, and most of us are very much in the mind, trying to determine what's real in the world and what isn't, and how to find our way through there. The mind can't find the way. And most of what we call thinking is actually worrying. We're trying to bend the world in a way that will fit or soften our concerns, our fears. And then, of course, mind is filled with something called belief. And that's a very common word today. But interestingly enough, the word belief means the opposite of truth.
Mm.
Because beliefs are transitory, they come and go. Truth is absolutely constant and consistent. So, what does this have to do with the eye?
Mm.
And what does this have to do with light? The back of the eye, the retina of the eye, is made up of many things, but among them, the thing that most people are aware of is it has cells in there, about 135 to 140 million cells that are sensitive to light. They're photosensitive cells. And most of them are not designed to see detail. They are so sensitive that they sense just about anything that is in our field of vision. When I say anything, I'm talking about that those cells of the eyes, which are called rods, and they make up 95% of the cells in the back of the eye, are the most sensitive things in the universe in relation to light. They're more sensitive than any other cells biologically, and they are more sensitive than any technological advancements we have created to date. They can detect and respond to a single photon of light. A photon of light is totally invisible. It's not a thing. It's more of a concept. And yet the eye can detect it and respond to it. That's another way of saying that our eyes are designed to detect and respond to the invisible, to that which has yet not formed. Now, there is an aspect of our life that all of us are aware of where we sense something that isn't here yet.
Yeah.
We call it intuition. And everybody's aware of it, including all the scientists. They are aware that intuition is what directs the mind to look in a certain direction.
So is it more precognition, maybe?
What's that?
Is it more precognition than intuition?
Well, I don't know if they're actually different from each other.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that only a tiny part of our eye is designed to look carefully at things. And that is designed to occur only when we are concerned about our survival. Is it dangerous or is it safe? Most of the time, we know whether it's dangerous or safe because something intuitively senses it. And the largest part of our intuition is located in our eyes. It's the 95% of those cells that are most sensitive than any other light detecting thing in this universe. And they are the only reason we have something so sensitive is because it's inseparable from our survival. It's what keeps us alive and continually evolving, is something that is so sensitive that it picks up anything you can see and even the things that you cannot see and things that you cannot hear, but you can sense on some level. And so light and the eye are the eye is the entry point for everything we have to respond to. It's what keeps moving the physiology of the body. One of the things that's very popular today is talking about the circadian system of the body, the timing of everything that goes on in the body over a 24-hour day. In fact, circadian means over a 24-hour period. We also know that almost all disease is the result of being out of alignment with Mother Nature's 24-hour light dark cycle, the circadian system. And so there's a lot of work being done all over the world. And the reason that is that every function of the body is light dependent. And my sense is that every function of what we call our cognition is light dependent. and probably every function of our spiritual evolvement is light dependent. There's probably great depth in the expression, the eye is the window of the soul, and seeing the light. All of these expressions were not just expressions, they were truths. They detected something that's really important. And so the eye is not so much about looking as it is about seeing. It's not designed to be doing something. It's designed to just be and receive. And it is so sensitive that it picks up pretty much everything. Way, 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 way beyond any of our doing occurs in merely being. And our system is designed this way. So I've learned a great deal about light and how it impacts our biology and how it keeps us in a state of harmony with Mother Nature, and how it continually guides us toward a state of oneness with life. Because when light enters the eye, a small amount of it, about 25%, is related to seeing. But about 75% has nothing to do with the seeing mechanism. It goes to the most important parts of the brain, the parts of the brain that regulate the nervous system, the endocrine system, that collects all of our feelings and sensations about what's going on emotionally, the major areas that sense stress or a lack of stress. And that information is shared with every single cell in the body, all at the same time. And every cell in the body utilizes that information to orchestrate all of the functions within the cell and then synchronize them with Mother Nature. In other words, the purpose of light is to instruct the body and the body's movements toward continually being in a harmonious dance with life. Not being in a state of duality, but being in a state of non-duality. And so when light is guiding us, there's no choice necessary. We experience choicelessness. And another word for that is contentment. Some people call it bliss, but essentially everything is just moving with the flow of life rather than in opposition.
I love when you speak about that, because it's really, you know, so many people wonder what they are supposed to do every day, what's their purpose or whatever. And it's really about understanding that whatever is being put in front of your eyes is the very most important thing to focus on right now. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt, because you also can choose, you know, to put a screen in front of your eyes all day long. Then the question is that really what is meant to be in front of your eyes right now, right? Or is it actually whatever else it is, you know, that needs to be taken care of by you right now, that is being placed in front of your eyes when you wake up?
You know, you said a couple of very interesting things. You said what's in front of your eyes is what you're supposed to be taking care of.
Yeah.
The reason it's in front of our eyes and not somewhere else is because the light is looking for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have this whole idea of, I want to choose what I want, and then I have to make the right choice to get what I want. And if I get what I want, I've mastered my life.
Mm-hmm.
But my direct experience over the last 77 years of my life is that life doesn't give us what we want, it gives us what we need. Its intelligence is beyond want or no want. It's about what is required. And so what catches the eye, or in your words, what's in front of the eye, is actually looking for us. And you mentioned, well, we sit in front of computers all day. Well, there's a reason. It's letting us know something. It's letting us know that this is not nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's letting us know that this creates stress. It keeps us up at night. The light from the computer is imbalancing a lot of things in the body, and it stops our eyes from having three-dimensionality. So it creates stress, and that's why so many people wear glasses. They're all interrelated. So yes, we are this world of technology, while it has certain obvious benefits, it creates a significant number of problems. And probably the reason we are so dependent and addicted to it is because we have not yet seen and gotten what we need to see about it. And so it will remain in front of our face until we have a moment where we say, oh my God, I see. The light goes on, and all of a sudden we realize this is not life. Life is being outside, and sometimes inside, but not spending our life indoors any more than it would be optimal to have a plant living indoors. It lives on light, and so do we. There's no difference. So I think the technology in our state of inseparability from it is in the process of showing us that we have to come back to what's natural rather than what's normal.
Yeah.
So eyes are very important. Light is very important. And what catches our eye is very important to our growth, to our development. And what we sense that we call intuition is the core of what we call common sense. It's something that it is inseparable from our survival and incredibly, incredibly accurate. Most of what goes in the mind never occurs. Our intuition, has an accuracy level that's exceedingly high because our survival depends upon it. And most people have no idea what mind actually is. You see, there was a time where humans were living but didn't have a language. They didn't communicate with each other, perhaps in the way we are today. And so as language began to develop, a part of our brain developed that would translate an experience into language that was supposed to be similar to the experience. But we know that that's not true. We often hear the word love, but what does the word love have to do with the experience of love? Some of us enjoy eating a pizza every so often. But the word pizza has nothing to do with the experience of eating a piece of pizza. And yet we think of them as being the same thing. And so a major issue we have worldwide is that we equate mental ideas with a direct experience, and they have nothing to do with each other. And so while we use the mind to communicate and share things, the only thing you know for sure is your direct experience. And a direct experience isn't an everyday experience. It's what occurs when the mind is absent. It's awareness that is unfiltered. So we're in an interesting time of our evolvement, a time where things are getting so divided and so divisive that it's getting to a point that's critical enough where we're needing to wake up again to these simple things like spending time outdoors, like eating things that are nutritious, sharing how we feel, not so much what we think, but exactly how we are feeling, which is where language might actually have more value. So I think those are a few of the things that intrigue me about entering 2025 and what I see that inspires me is whatever I can do to bring more awareness, more smiling, more caring into this world.
Yeah, it's you know, even when I go outside here, it's fascinating to see how many people instead of looking at each other, they look at their phones or screens,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It's going on everywhere.
Yeah.
And so what happens is we have this big field of vision, but then we limit it to this tiny thing.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like squeezing our life into a small little space where it can't breathe.
Mhm.
And that's literally what happens when we spend our days looking at handheld devices, cell phones, and so on. We are compressing our humanity and the whole of humanity into a tiny little space where it cannot possibly thrive. It doesn't have the room in which to breathe and to move.
So what would be your idea or intention for people in 2025?
Well, since most people wear glasses, I would say spend some time each day without them on your face. And you probably say, well, why? Just to see what you notice. You see, when most people take their glasses off and you ask them, what do you notice? They say, I can't see. And they will often say also, I can't hear, because vision is inseparable from hearing. And if they continue to leave them off, and you continue to ask anything else that you notice, they'll probably tell you, I feel a little bit out of control.
Mm.
I'm concerned that I'm going to run into someone that I know, but I won't be able to see them and I'll be embarrassed. And they share all these things that let you know that their life is about being in control and making sure that we don't do anything wrong. And what that actually creates is stress. And why is that important? Because 90% of illness is caused by or significantly contributed to what we call stress. And most stress is not related to having a divorce or losing your job. Most stress is going on inside from little simple things, like what happens when we remove our glasses. That's when we begin to actually see what's going on inside. When we put our glasses on, all our attention is out there. But when we take them off and out there is not so clear, inside becomes clearer. And all of a sudden we begin to see what's always been there, but it's sort of been on the side or in the back burner. Now it's in front of the eyes, to use your term. So these are simple things. People need to speak to each other rather than texting and emailing. They need to see each other. They need to feel each other. They need to look into each other's eyes. Because when we do that, we can sense so much. Even if no words are uttered, we get a good feeling of exactly what's going on. And there's no technology that can do that as effortlessly and as accurately as what occurs within the body just naturally. So it's another thing that's really, really important is we spend so much of our time talking about ideas rather than sharing our direct experience of life. We try to describe the experience rather than share it. And one thing has nothing to do with the other. I'm I'm in the midst of writing a new book.
Oh, give us a sneak peek.
What's that?
Give us a sneak peek. What will it be about?
It's a memoir. It's a book about my life. But what I was going to share with you is when I first wrote maybe the first 10 chapters, I'm working with my daughter on it. She's a very gifted writer and so on. And so she's been helping me. And I said, please read it. Tell me your thoughts. And when she got back to me, she said, I couldn't put it down when you were talking about your early childhood experiences and things that happened as you were growing up. But when it got to chapter 6, everything changed. I said, really? She said it was very interesting, but it was a totally different voice. And I could tell it wasn't the voice of Jacob Liberman. It was the voice of Dr. Jacob Liberman. And she said it was interesting information, but it didn't capture me like the first part. And then I realized, oh my God, we've all been conditioned to be someone, to be something. From the time we were small, everybody said, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to be when you grow up? As if you are already not something. And so, you know, depending on the culture where you come from, you know, most westernized civilizations, oh, you need to be a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer so you can make sure that you can make enough money to live and all of that. And so we spend our life being conditioned, and we create something called a persona. Psychologically, they call that the ego or the personality. But the word persona means mask.
Yeah.
And so we develop a mask that actually camouflages our nature, who we truly are. And after a while, we all forget who we are because we have been living as a persona, whatever that is. And so most people, when they meet you, they don't say, well, tell me about your life. What inspires you? No. What they say is, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm a plumber. I'm an electrician. I'm a builder. I'm a doctor. But what's really important is who we are. And we seemingly never get so much into that conversation. So when you say to me, what might I suggest as we enter 2025? More real communication. Communication comes from the word commune, community, to come into oneness. And this is not only so important to the quality of our life and our level of contentment, but it is the most important aspect of our health, because most of our biology is actually brought into balance through our relationships and the quality and the depth of our relationship. My sense right now is the deeper the relationship, the deeper the healing that can occur and the degree of balance that we can derive through our relationships. In fact, the most important thing to living a long life is community.
Connection.
Connection. And, and I'm not talking about connection with my iPhone or connection with my monitor. I'm talking about love and caring of not only your partner or your children or your parents, but seeing that wherever you go. And in the process of seeing it, being moved by it, actually infuses not only love and caring, but a wonderful healing essence into the world. Whenever I see someone who is kind or doing a wonderful job of something, maybe I go to a coffee shop and they're bringing me my coffee. Whenever I see someone doing something beautifully, I feel moved to let them know that I see them. And I see the impeccability, the presence that they infused into whatever they're doing. And most people are so touched because while people might leave you a tip in money, it's rare that they share with you their appreciation for you as a human being. That, for me, is what takes up most of my life.
Yeah, it's really this, I mean, and in a way that's, this whole Pluto in Aquarius also what it is all about, and us knowing that we are light workers, or, we work with our own inner light. It also depends on how do you meet someone, what are you radiating towards them, and how can you with your own aura or light actually illuminate or brighten their day with the conversation, with a smile, with just presence.
It's actually really simple. You don't actually have to do anything. Just being there, you will be moved. An animal in the wild, when something doesn't feel right to it, even though it doesn't see anything, sometimes you see it running fast away. And you assume that it is running away from something. But actually, something is running it. Something is moving it. So when I say there's nothing to do, from the moment you and I were born and came out of our mothers, something that nobody knows what it is started to breathe us. We do not breathe on our own. Something is literally expanding and contracting the body. And whatever is breathing us is also pumping our heart. It's also causing all of our blood vessels to do that. It's controlling your blood glucose level. It's controlling the release of all your hormones. You do not impact that. That is all happening by itself without you. It is responding to what's going on in your life. But you're not controlling anything that goes inside your body. And Mother Nature, which is the body of life, is the same thing. It's miraculous how it remains in balance. Even with the impact of all of our good ideas, Mother Nature continues to go on. So here it is, our bodies function 100% on their own, and our entire life is built on the misconception that you have to do something. Just being is so powerful that there's nothing to be done.
Being aware, I would say, being, yes, but being aware.
Awareness is the source of everything.
In other words, you cannot be not aware.
Our being is pure awareness. It's not so much that I am being aware, it is that I and awareness are one. We've been led to believe that we see with the eyes. The eyes just take in light and give off light. What is seeing is this field of pure awareness, which is our essence. And that essence my senses is also what we call God.
There's nothing that is not God.
Hmm?
There's nothing that is not God.
Right. So that means everything is godliness. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
awareness. And I mean, yeah, you can see, you know, God is also light. So, which brings us full circle in a way. Because if we are then disconnected from the light, we're disconnected from God.
We are light. Everything that exists that is solid is actually light energy that has become matter. One of the most famous physicists named David Bohm. David Bohm was Einstein's spiritual son.
Oh,
David Bohm said, all matter is frozen light. Actually, what he was saying is that everything that we can consider as solid is just light energy that through some magical interaction with what we call consciousness and so on, takes on a solidified form or appears solid to us.
yeah, it's wild if you think about it and try to wrap your head around it, because it seems so, you know.
You just said something that was really brilliant. I want to repeat it again.
I
You
wrote that,
said,
yes.
wrap your head around it. There is no way to wrap the head or the mind around any of the things we are discussing, because what we call the head or the mind only sees from a point of view. And you know, a point is a tiny little thing on the edge of this little stick. That's a point. It just sees from a point of view. Awareness is an ocean. It's a field of awareness, not a point of view. And so the ocean contains all the points, but the point cannot hold the ocean. And that's why discussing these things and our point of view or our opinion, it's interesting. It's what we call food for thought. But it doesn't nourish the heart. And that is what's really needed in the world right now.
Yes, and I would say also sharing I want to say the perception that, you know, consciousness wants to have through each and every one of us, sharing that with each other, you know, to understand that we are each a different point of view, so to speak, for consciousness to experience life and, you know, have specific ways of then feeling about it or, you know, sensing it or perceiving it. Yeah, basically perceiving it and then sharing our perception so others can expand their own point of view maybe or see things from a different angle as well. So it's, and again, without judgment, it's just about sharing our, you know, I'm in the right corner of the room. I see it from this point of view. I'm in the left corner. So let's talk about what we see, right?
Right. Yeah. 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 in 1976, in the middle of a meditation, my point of view disappeared. And it felt as though whatever was seeing from everywhere at the same time. And everything was clear.
You became an ocean, so to speak.
I don't know what happened, but when my eyes opened, everything was clear. And for years before that, I had to wear glasses to see. That was in 1976, almost 49 years ago. I haven't worn glasses since. That is what can occur if, through grace, we have just a very short period of seeing through the eyes of God. How that occurs, I have no idea. Have I found any techniques? Absolutely not. It's all I can share with you is that the impact is always there, and it keeps expanding. And yeah, it keeps expanding and evolving. You don't get to a point where all of a sudden everything is clear and you're done. It's a magical journey that keeps going. And the profoundness of the insights can occur at any moment and any time.
Like a lightning bulb, it can, and
Yeah,
it strikes. And sometimes, most of the time, I would say, without you even being able to, control it, or, oh, sorry. See, like that. It's just coming to play with us, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
you cannot control it, it's just instincts, or, it's just like impulse, I want to
Now,
say.
what's happening right now is quite important.
Okay, I love
And
that.
so
Evie almost had something
I'd
in her
like
voice.
to acknowledge it. A few moments ago, we were speaking about maybe things that would impact the world or others. And we spoke about changing someone's point of view. And then I said, there's nothing to do. Now, and that when we're in that state, it spreads. Now, I have no idea exactly what state we are in right now, but we've been having a bit of a magical conversation.
Yes.
It looks in one moment like you're speaking, and in another moment like I'm speaking. But I have a secret. Neither one of us is speaking. Something is speaking through us. And whatever it is can see everything we cannot. And it's created a field that is like what happens when we go, It's like everything relaxes. And then you will notice that people, animals, and situations will show up on your doorstep as if you have something valuable to give it. The cat didn't show up by accident. The cat showed up because whatever's occurring here feels safe and delicious.
She wants to be part of the party.
It lives in that state, and so when it senses it, it's like being in the womb of its mother. And you know what? We're all continually yearning for that feeling. And so when someone, even though they may not be aware of it, begins to radiate that for reasons we don't actually understand, but something has brought them there. All of a sudden, things like the cat arriving occur. And you don't have to make anything happen. And you don't have to make choices. Just being, and it occurs.
Which also, in a way, brings us back to what we said earlier about the cascading rhythm, because it's like if we, you know, we wake up or we open our eyes with the sun, and then we let the light guide us through the day, and then we go to sleep when the sun sets. That's all we got to do. You know, it sounds so simple, and most people are like, I can't just
Right.
like live like that,
Right.
you know. But that's, you know, our schedule.
Well, when you realize everyone gets up in the morning, whether they have an alarm clock or not,
Yeah, very true.
something wakes them up, and the content of the light is like an infusion of energy that gets us moving. And then the content changes throughout the day. You know, first we're very energetic, and then it plateaus, and then something says, oh, it's time to rest. And at a certain point, the body begins to yawn, and your head hits the pillow, and all the troubles are over, and you have a wonderful night's rest, and everything replenishes itself. Most of the healing of our body and our life occurs while we're sleeping. Because during the day, all of the activity is interfering with so much of our natural awareness. But when the mind is somewhat quiet and the body is quiet, the miracle of life takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I feel like I wanted to ask so many other questions, but I love how the conversation, you know, turned out, where it's really about trusting and letting the light guide us, you know, letting the light guide us because it is us.
Right.
Right?
So it's interesting what you were feeling is exactly what occurred all by itself.
Yeah. Because I feel like, you know, if we can talk about all the science and all the things, but it's just to feed the mind, really. I feel like it's more about sensing what we are actually talking about. and feeling it, and yeah, deeply, like feeling it with your cells. You know, I like to bring up that wordplay a lot, like the cells and the self, it's the same. And in the same way, we cannot understand what light or the sun does to us, but it's information that is being radiated towards our cells, right? It's just, and you don't necessarily have to translate it into words so the mind can understand what's happening.
Right. You know, I think the value of science is if it confirms what we intuitively already know. So it's not to learn from the science, it's for the science to remind us that we already know.
Yeah.
That there's a knowing inside of us that is aware of everything all the time.
The confirmation for our knowing.
Yeah.
Which,
And
you know,
the knowing is not a personal knowing. It's not Kathy or Jacob knowing. It's that the essence of life is life. And so it knows how to live.
yeah, it just has this self-organizing principle in a way,
Right.
which the mind, I want to say, tries to make sense of or interferes sometimes with.
Mostly it interferes.
Yeah, and that's when stress and illness and disease is happening, because we are in disharmony to the natural flow of nature.
Yeah. And it's interesting, we send children to school and indoctrinate them that learning occurs through the mind. In fact, even people that are on the spiritual path, if you will, that are into meditation and all these kinds of things, use a term called, let me see what the term is. They talk about mindfulness.
The mind is full, I like to say.
Right. And I say that term does not describe what you're speaking about. What you're speaking about is mindlessness, not mindfulness. And so here is a perfect example that we're trying to describe a state with words that are taking you in the opposite direction.
Mm.
So, yeah, our language needs a little bit of an adjustment.
A little bit, I like to say, coded, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're getting ready for your New Year's.
I will, yes.
Well, I hope you have a fabulous New Year's.
I wish you the same on the other side of the world in Maui.
I'm just beginning one day before New Year's, but there's a beautiful rainbow outside I'm seeing right this moment, and it's a sign.
Rainbows are actually big signs for me. It's funny that you
Yeah,
mentioned.
we have rainbows here most days. You might see one or many, and they are really amazing rainbows, big ones. So, yeah, my hope for all the people that are on this call today
Yes.
is that moving forward, life is filled with excellent health, unbelievable contentment,
Mm.
and abundant prosperity.
That's the best prayer for the decade, for the new year, because it's what causes the most worry and stress and mental
Yeah,
havoc. People.
right.
Yeah. Specifically during the times that we are in right now, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we each have to become aware of what our job is in the world. And our job in the world is essentially to be living examples of the things that we love. If you love to sing, your job is to sing. If you love to paint, your job is to paint. If you love being with animals, this is your job also. Yeah,
Yes, very true.
yeah. I'm glad I had an opportunity to be doing some of my job here today as well.
Love talking to people about these topics. We got to do that too.
You know, it's meaningful communication,
Exactly.
meaningful conversation is so nourishing.
It is.
And
It's why I do the podcast. It's more like I love to invite people and just have these conversations, all
yeah,
day long if I could. It's just because we need to share again our perceptions, our experiences,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's always amazing. So thank you so much for taking the time as well.
It was a
Please let us
pleasure.
know, when can we read your memoir? I'm
Well,
excited.
it has to be finished. And then we have to, my agent has to put it out to publishers to see who would be interested. And then time takes time.
Time. In divine timing, it will be out.
It will all happen. I'm not concerned. It's going to happen.
I have a request. I would love more audiobooks from you.
You would love more what?
Audiobooks? I think only
Oh,
one of your books is on Audible.
the first one is going to be on Audible. The second one, Take Off Your Glasses and See, I believe, is already on Audible. I believe that Luminous Life is on
And
Audible.
Life is on Audible, yes.
So we'll see.
So all the books that we just mentioned are in the meantime until your memoir is out for everyone to dive into. Can highly recommend. Otherwise, where can people connect with you, find you, hear more about you?
My website is jacobliberman.org, O-R-G.
I will link it down
And,
below as well.
and they can email us if they have questions at info@jacobliberman.org.
Awesome. I will link that below. How, like the last question I have, how do you spend your days nowadays? What are you doing? What are you passionate about? What you are excited about? And yeah, what lights you up?
I wake up, I make myself a cup of delicious coffee. I respond to my emails. I wash the dishes. I make the bed. I brush my teeth. Whatever comes in front of me is what I
Okay.
take care of next. And at the end of the day, most of the time, there's nothing else to do.
I love it.
The emails stop, everything slows down, and then I rest until the next day. So my days are filled with whatever catches my eye. Today is the day that the trash has to go in front of the house, the rubbish. So I have to do that. I have 2 family members coming to visit today for a week. So I'm planning a nice meal for tonight and also for New Year's. So I will be preparing food today. My life is just like everyone else's.
I love it. Yeah,
Just
it's
taking care of what's in front of me and sometimes aware of the worrying, not so much, but sometimes it's there like everyone else. And we're all the same. No one is ahead and no one is behind. Everybody's holding hands. Yeah,
true. We're all entangled and connected. I think
thank
that's the
God.
best way to wrap up today and let you basically continue your day while I am on the other side of the spectrum and going to rest now.
Good.
And I pray that you have a magical start into year 2025, just as I will have, and then see where life takes us, next year.
Yeah, and we'll do this again.
We will do this again for sure.
Sure.
But
When the time is
often,
right, we'll have another conversation and we'll
please
see
keep
where
me
that one
posted.
takes us.
Yes, but definitely I have a request to keep me posted on your memoir. Maybe we can, talk about it when the time is right for that one.
Sure.
Or whenever I feel like I want to have Jacob back or the audience wants to have you back, then I will reach out for sure.
Just reach out. Have
Thank
a
you.
magnificent beginning of a new year. God bless you. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world and giving me the opportunity to share today. And may your life be filled with a lot of light.
Thank you so much. Same to you. And we will speak very soon. Thank you,
You
Jacob.
got it. Thank you so much. Be well.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.